maybe talk a little bit about being a woman in this profession, because we all seem to have something in common here. Being a woman, I'm not going to say there is not misogyny in this field, because there is definite misogyny. I'm not going to deny that. But very early on in my career, I decided that I was never, ever going to use being discriminated against as an excuse for not being able to do something. I think that I've always felt that that was kind of a mistake, and if that makes sense to you. I mean, I just decided I'm going to work really hard, and I'm just going to focus in, and I'm going to do my job. But those kind of things, if you can't change them, if there's nothing you can do about them, rather than bog your energy down with anger and so forth, it's better to just focus in on what you can do something about. On the other hand, some of the biggest breaks I've had in my career, most of the big breaks in my career have happened as a result of men, you know, wanting to either commissioning me or helping me out to, you know, leave in something that I was doing. And so, you know, all I'm saying is I've chosen not to use that as an excuse in my life. The other thing that maybe has probably held me back more than being a woman, if anything, was I don't have a real natural ability to network. I'm not, you know, that's essential no matter what field you're in. So I think, you know, but at least back then, more so, women had a little more difficult time in general networking. But for me, on top of which I'm not very natural at doing it, I don't work the room very well. So on top of being a woman, I had that extra kind of thing, honestly. But now, there are more female composers, and I've noticed that they kind of hang around in a group together. And I think they reinforce one another. And times have changed because there are more, it's not, the situation isn't quite as extreme as when I was younger. And I found that a lot of women now are very good networkers. So at any rate, I think that those two things kind of, you know, I would give that advice to you would be to not let, if you don't have successes, to not immediately blame somebody else. Just, you know, work hard and learn how to network. I hate to say it. You know, it's interesting. I'm on a dean's search committee for a new dean at Carnegie Mellon Fine Arts, and we were talking about having like a woman candidate and, you know, and so forth. And I said, wait a minute. I'm the only woman on the committee, and I said, wait a minute. We have a woman candidate, and everybody started laughing. It was because our female candidate was an in-house candidate, and her, everybody knows her as Vivian, and she is the most brilliant person and architect. She's an older woman, and she kind of reminds me of Margaret Thatcher or something. You know, you don't even give it a thought that, nobody gave it a thought that she's a woman. Nobody thinks of her as a female architect. She is an architect, and nobody would question her career. And actually, you were talking about eco-friendly. She's like one of the foremost architects in the world. I find that, you know, a lot of people still today they will distinguish by calling me a female composer. I mean, that's a woman composer. That comes out a lot, that phrase. And I sort of try to myself, because I think we all do it. You get caught into saying, oh, it's a woman doctor, or, you know, you say a woman this or that. And I've tried to make a conscious decision to never do that. I was on the plane coming up here, I was thinking, you know what? There are just fields that you don't seem to see many women. And I thought, I don't think I've ever been on a plane where there's been a female pilot. I think that, you know, when there's a situation, has anybody been on a plane with a female pilot?
Caroline?
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Actually, the plane that I went back from Spain, me and my friend were actually late. We were in a program, and the lady stopped the plane for us. So we got to meet her afterwards, yeah.
Okay. I just never, you know, but it's such an odd thing to have.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an odd thing. So because it's so odd, you might be inclined to say, well, you know, we had a female pilot. You know, I think that's just kind of a natural thing, but I try very hard not to say, you know, it's a female doctor, it's a female, you know, anything, female dentist, female composer. I kind of find that not offensive, but, you know, I'm a composer. I would like to think I was a composer. Now this is interesting. A lot of weird dynamics can happen between I call myself a female composer and conductors sometimes, male conductors in the orchestral world especially. That's kind of a rough world. Now there is prejudice against, just in general, I think that contemporary music is probably, there's a little bit of attitude probably that, well, it's contemporary anyway, nobody knows the difference. There's a little bit of that. But I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, oh, they never give the contemporary music the time that it needs or deserves. I have a friend in the business, have you ever heard of Jennifer Higdon? Anybody? She wrote a piece called Blue Cathedral. It's an orchestra piece, and it is probably the most performed piece in the country right now. Her and John Adams. Do you know the name John Adams? Yes. Okay, John Adams and Jennifer Higdon, those are two huge names. I've never heard her even mention that subject. And most of, you know, I would think that most of the women that are, you know, I've never, like the woman I was describing, the architect, her name is Vivian Loftus, I can't imagine her ever discussing the misogyny or something like that. She's just so focused on being an architect that that's all that matters to her. And as a result of that, she's quite successful and quite well known in that world.